Hello, boys and girls. I'm Miss Smith, and I'm a reading teacher at Bellevue. Today, I want to share a book called Jabari Jumps. 1 second while I share my slides. My learning target is I can relate my previous experiences to books I've read. Will this book remind me of things I've experienced or felt or read about before? I'm looking at the cover and I see this little boy wearing goggles. This reminds me of my previous experiences wearing goggles because when I go swimming, I also wear my goggles. Before I start reading, let's go over the 3 ways that good readers make connections. The first way is called text to text. In this connection, the book you're reading reminds you of a book you've read or movie that you've seen. The second connection is text to self. In this connection, the book that you are reading reminds you of something that you also have experienced or felt. And the third connection is text to world. In this connection, the book you are reading reminds you of something about the world or a bigger topic. As you're reading a book, you might start thinking, hey, this book is just like another book I've read. Or you might say, wow, the character in this book had the same problem or feelings as a character in another book that I've read. Today, we will focus on the text-to-text connection. Now let's read Jabari Jumps. See if in this book, the book reminds you of another book you know, or maybe the character Jabari reminds you of a character you know from another story you have read. Jabari Jumps by Gaia Cornwall. I'm jumping off the diving board today, Jabari told his dad. Really? Said his dad. The diving board was high and maybe a little scary, but Jabari had finished his swimming lessons and passed his swim test, and now he was ready to jump. I'm a great jumper, said Jabari, so I'm not scared at all. Jabari watched the other kids climb the long ladder. They walked all the way out to the end of the board as big as tiny bugs. Then they stood on the edge. They spread their arms and bent their knees and sprang up, up, up. And then they dove down, down, down. Splash! Looks easy, Jabari said. But when his dad squeezed his hand, Jabari squeezed back. Jabari stood at the bottom of the ladder. He looked up. You can go before me if you want, he told the kid behind him. I need to think about what kind of special jump I'm going to do. Jabari thought and thought. Jabari started to climb up, up. This ladder is very tall, he thought. Are you okay? Called his dad. I'm just a little tired, said Jabari. Maybe you should climb down and take a tiny rest, said his dad. A tiny rest sounded like a good idea. When he got to the bottom, Jabari remembered something. I forgot to do my stretches, he said to his dad. Stretching is very important, said his dad. I think tomorrow might be a better day for jumping, Jabari said. They looked up at the diving board together. It's okay to feel a little scared, said his dad. Sometimes, if I feel a little scared, I take a deep breath and tell myself, I am ready. And you know what? Sometimes it stops feeling scary and feels a little like a surprise. Jabari loved surprises. Jabari took a deep breath and felt it fill his body from the ends of his hair right down to the tips of his toes. Jabari looked up. He began to climb, up and up and up and up, until he got to the top. Jabari stood up straight. He walked all the way to the end of the board. His toes curled around the rough edge. Jabari looked out as far as he could see. He felt like he was ready. "I love surprises," he whispered. He took a deep breath and spread his arms and bent his knees. Then he sprang up off the board, flying. Jabari hit the water with a splash. Down, down, down he went, and then back up. Whoosh! "Jabari, you did it," said his dad. "I did it," said Jabari. "I'm a great jumper." "And you know what?" "What?" said his dad. Surprise double backflip is next. Were you able to relate Jabari Jumps to another book that you know? As I was reading Jabari Jumps, I noticed that Jabari's feelings changed from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. He was scared and nervous about jumping off the high diving board. But when he finally overcame his fears and jumped, he was so proud of himself and wanted to even do a backflip. Jabari reminds me of Chrysanthemum, another book that was shared in an at-home lesson a few weeks ago. Chrysanthemum felt so sad when she went to school and started getting picked on by her classmates. But at the end, she also felt proud of who she was and that she had a name that her teacher loved. Jabari reminds me of Chrysanthemum because both characters felt so confident and happy at the end. Did you make any text-to-text connections as I read Jabari Jumps? This slide shows how Jabari Jumps really reminded me of this page in Chrysanthemum because they both feel so happy and confident about themselves. Jabari says, "I did it, I'm a great jumper." And Chrysanthemum just knew that her name was perfect. You can see in both of their faces and expressions how happy and confident and proud they are. So now let's look at our independent work for this book, boys and girls. At the top, it says, I can make text-to-text connections. You can either print out this page or just talk about it with somebody at home. So this is how I would fill out box number 1. It says Jabari jumps, and there's a picture of Jabari. So I would write, in this story, Jabari feels happy and proud at the end. Then in box number 2, I would write Chrysanthemum on top, and I would draw a picture of how happy and proud Chrysanthemum also feels. Then I would write, this reminds me of Chrysanthemum because she also feels happy and proud at the end. So you see how I made a text-to-text connection with Jabari Jumps and Chrysanthemum. Maybe you were thinking of another text-to-text connection as you were reading Jabari jumps to a different book. So, I hope you fill out this text-to-text connection or talk about it with someone at home. And then tomorrow, we'll go over the 2 other types of text connections. See you tomorrow.